After I refused to pay for my sister's $50K wedding, she invited me to a casual dinner. 3 lawyers were waiting with documents. She said, "Sign this or I'll ruin you." And I said, "Meet my wife." What she handed them shut everything down. I always knew my sister Claire was dangerously entitled, but I didn't realize she was borderline sociopathic until I refused to fund her $50,000 dream wedding. I've done well for myself, building a successful tech logistics company from the ground up. Claire, on the other hand, had spent her 20s coasting on our parents' generosity. When she demanded I pay for her lavish destination wedding, treating my bank account like her personal ATM, I gave her a flat, non-negotiable no. She went scorched earth. She launched smear campaigns, cried to our relatives, and tried to turn the whole family against me. I ignored it. I cut contact and went on with my life. Then suddenly the harassment stopped. Out of nowhere, she texted me asking for a casual dinner at an upscale steakhouse to apologize and make amends. I knew better than to trust her. My gut screamed that it was a trap. I agreed to go, but I wasn't going alone. I brought Elena. Elena and I had eloped 3 months prior in a quiet, private ceremony. My family didn't know much about her, only that she was in corporate consulting. What they didn't know was that Elena was a senior forensic auditor who specialized in tracking hidden assets for a ruthless corporate litigation firm. We walked into the dimly lit restaurant, the air smelling of expensive cologne and seared meat. Claire wasn't sitting at a cozy two-top. She was waiting in a massive private corner booth, flanked by 3 men in sharp suits with thick leather briefcases. Claire's fake welcoming smile vanished the second I sat down. She didn't even acknowledge Elena, who quietly slid into the booth beside me. Instead, Claire pushed a thick stack of legal documents across the mahogany table. "Sign it," Claire demanded, her voice dripping with venom. The lawyers puffed their chests. The lead attorney, a smug guy with a condescending smirk, leaned forward. He explained that they were prepared to file a massive civil suit against my company. They had fabricated a story that I had verbally promised. Claire had 20% stake in my business years ago. This $50,000, he explained, was a settlement to buy out her fictional shares. If I didn't sign the NDA and the payout immediately, they were going to drag my company through a messy, reputation-destroying public trial. "I have texts, I have witnesses, and I have the best legal team in the city," Claire whispered, leaning across the table. "Sign this or I'll ruin you." I didn't get mad. I didn't raise my voice. I just let the silence hang in the air for a few agonizing seconds. I leaned back, looked at my wife, and smiled. "Claire," I said calmly, "I don't think you've properly met my wife." Elena didn't smile. Her expression was completely unreadable. She calmly opened her designer handbag and pulled out a single thin manila folder. She didn't hand it to Claire. She slid it directly across the table to the lead lawyer. "Before you proceed with blatant extortion," Elena said, her voice ice cold and perfectly steady, "you should probably know who is paying your retainer." The smug attorney frowned and opened the folder. In less than 3 seconds, the color completely drained from his face. The other 2 lawyers leaned in to look. Their eyes widened in sheer, undisguised panic. Elena had run a quiet, deep-dive audit on my accounts after Claire's initial temper tantrum. "What you are looking at," Elena said softly, "is irrefutable proof that Claire illegally accessed an old joint family trust to forge my husband's signature." Claire's wrath hit. "She used that forged signature to secure a $75,000 line of credit," Elena continued. "And she used those stolen funds to pay your firm's retainer." The booth was so quiet you could hear the ice melting in the water glasses. By accepting her money, you are in possession of stolen funds, Elena told the lawyers, her eyes locking onto the lead attorney. "If you push this fabricated settlement, you aren't just filing a frivolous lawsuit. You are actively participating in extortion to cover up federal wire fraud and identity theft." The lead lawyer literally shoved the settlement papers away from him like they were radioactive. "We are withdrawing as your counsel," he stammered, his voice cracking. He didn't even look at Claire. He stood up so fast he knocked his chair over. The other 2 scrambled to pack their briefcases, their hands shaking. "Do not contact our firm again," he snapped at my sister. The 3 powerful lawyers bolted out of the restaurant in under 30 seconds. Claire sat there paralyzed. Her jaw was practically on the floor as she stared at the empty chairs beside her. The smug arrogance was entirely gone, replaced by raw, trembling terror. I stood up and buttoned my coat, looking down at the stranger who used to be my sister. "The bank and the authorities have already been notified of the fraud," I said softly. Tears finally spilled down her pale cheeks, but it was way too late for sympathy. "You won't be having a wedding, Claire," I said, "but you will be getting a very different kind of court date." Elena and I turned and walked out of the restaurant without looking back. We left her completely alone in the booth, staring at the check, finally realizing her life as she knew it was over.